Like many others, the Stalker franchise has been a gaming series I've revisited multiple times since the first time I played it way back when. I'm sure I bought it on some Steam sale with the idea of a Chernobyl-based exploring game, very intriguing at the time. Plus, with the expansive modding scene for it, it's a great game to get into. Personally, on my original playthrough back in the day, the game felt a bit clunky. Understandably, the game had already been out a decent amount of time. Even with this bit of clunkiness, I still got very immersed into the game. Years later, I stumbled across this video, Racevic's Modding the Post-Apocalypse, an excellent video covering the steps he took to make his Stalker a better experience. One mod absolutely stuck out and was kind of the backbone for his video, Stalker Call of Chernobyl. A mod which basically smashes all of the Stalker games maps together and makes it a larger sandbox type of game. You can still run through the story this way, but there's also plenty of side missions you can do just through the sandbox experience, making up your own headcanon for your character. It's still just unmatched. This isn't even where I ended my modding experience with Stalker, as even further later on I found Stalker Anomaly, which just overhauls the whole game for the better. Better weapons, better HUD, and just an overall better way to play Stalker, in my opinion. The game is not a fun run through the park though. I wish I could say how many times I've died just to some of the early game missions, or even like the tutorial mission of killing some boars outside your village. No, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. That's not fair. There's more of them. Oh my god. Taking one wrong turn in this mod will have your life ended way quicker than you were expecting by just some random bandit chilling in a house. I'm not even sure where I stumbled across Anomaly. It was just on my PC at some point and I dove right into it, and it has been an absolute blast at almost every turn. Every run I have just involves some crazy story where I either barely made it out alive, or some mutant I wasn't expecting, or some bandit just happened to be there at the right time and my run was cut way short. Without a doubt, I strongly recommend Stalker Anomaly with some research and a bit of patience. It's been a blast with some unforgettable moments. With that all out of the way, the slight introduction to my experience with Stalker, I think it's time to talk about the MMO Minecraft inspired Stalker game, because I'm sure you all were expecting me to say that next. An odd combination. My initial reaction was that I was under the impression it was going to be a lot like other free-to-play survival games that I've played, like Stay Out or Will to Live Online. Both games I've actually reviewed in my reviewing free survival games video. Check it out if that sounds interesting, or if it just sounds like a good kind of like introduction to what I'm going to be diving into today. And I was kind of right, but I was also kind of wrong. It's hard to say, so I kind of just have to dive right into it, talk about it, to give you your own opinion and see if this is anything like those other two games. The tutorial has a lot going on, and you pretty quickly just get ushered into a PvE run to point A to point B type of mission. Some guys yelling at you over a sort of like walkie-talkie while you're looking for an artifact. You get a nice rundown of the controls, then get pushed through this lab while killing anybody in your way. There's no limit on what guns you can pick up or use at this moment either. So for like a minute, I was under the impression that all the guns that you grabbed here were going to carry on into the actual base multiplayer game. That part I was definitely wrong about. You don't have to look more into it. I was just wrong about that one. Once escaping this lab, you get Fallout New Vegas by the guy leading you through the whole mission. Except instead of like a really cool action scene, it's just like a Minecraft guy and it's just really goofy.
Where are you, damn it? The mission is starting. Finally. Prepare the laboratory. You asked for it. We thought of going without you.
But at this moment where this Minecraft character shot me in the head before stealing the artifact I worked so hard to get him, it really hit me, like, who is this for? It's such an odd pairing, I just don't quite get it. I wish I could re-find a review left by a player basically stating how he's a dad who really enjoys the Stalker series, but has a son that he really can't just throw into the Stalker games. Obviously, it'd be kind of scarring. So to him, this feels like a good mixture of a game that him and his son can play, enjoying Minecraft and Stalker all in one. Because black guys shooting each other just doesn't have the same effect as like a bloodsucker running at you. So, hey, at least we found one very specific niche that this game was at least made for. As someone who enjoys the Stalker series though, either way I push forward. Before jumping into the game, you get the option to run with two different factions. A, which is the Stalkers, or B, the Bandits. This will decide where you spawn and what factions you can upgrade to later on. Running with the Stalkers, future recruitment will either be duty or freedom, where bandits will either have mercenaries or covenants. I guess no room for the clear sky. Where are all my clear sky believers at? Rise up, brothers. From what I've heard other people say about factions early on is that Stalkers have a bit more players, so are a bit more new player friendly, where bandits have better early leveling options, so maybe suited for like a second character run through. With that in mind, I chose Stalker and immediately got jump scared.
Ну что, очнулся? Чего глазами хлопаешь?
Listen, I get not having low-res faces for characters because you kind of have this like realistic environment, and you kind of have to have some characters' faces be shown just to make them more distinctive, or not just have every character look generic with a gas mask or baklava. But holy hell are these guys terrifying. Like every time a player would run by me and they wouldn't have a mask on, I would just kind of stare at them because it's just so uncomfortable.
Oh, it's so ugly. It's that flat texture. Ugh.
But either way, this man is named Lyndon, and he gives you a very quick rundown of what's going on and shoves you out for your first quest, very MMO-like. You are quested to find and retrieve an artifact and return right back to Lyndon. This task just involves running to point A, only to come back to Lyndon very shortly. It's an early MMO quest, I wasn't expecting anything grand, but still very lack. After this, we were tasked by a different guy to find a stalker that's been missing. Conveniently, this location is right next to the artifact we just found in like a little like bunker area. What do you know, this stalker's been killed by someone else in this bunker area and we have to kill them. It's a very quick, short gunfight and it's very forgettable as well. After I left this bunker though, a mission happened. And if you're familiar with the Stalker series, a mission is basically just like a storm, or if you're outside you die basically. It's hard to describe, and I'm not doing some Stalker lore video, so just watch like Into the Zones video about this. It's really interesting, really well done. I'll link it in the description. But while this was happening, I got trapped in a bunker with two other players, and they were just standing there looking at me and asking me to join their group, which I didn't know how to do. But I felt trapped in this small area with these creepy men, and it was just not a fun time. Again, just having those faces staring at me, it creeps me out. The mission lasted a bit longer than I wanted it to, especially being stuck with these two weirdos. But after that, I returned back and got my one last mission for this like little starting area. Find out who killed a different stalker. We have 3 people to interrogate and find out from this. After talking to the 3, one seems a little bit more irritated than the others, and now you have to find clues about the murder. Once going through his possessions and getting caught, you finally have to make the decision it was him. Returning to his house, you notice he's already taken off. This is a pretty good bit for an early game mission. Now you're running through like the forest area, fighting some small mutants, and just kind of getting familiar with what you're going to expect to see. Once you catch up to him, you find out he's actually been murdered, which just kind of leaves more questions than answers. The next quest has us venturing deeper into the swamps, which will kind of lead you to your first possible PvP encounter. I know this is where I got my first PvP engagement with some bandit. It wasn't too exciting, it was a long-range encounter that I kept getting mixed up with like NPCs. So like in the footage you'll see me shooting at him, then shooting at some NPCs. I couldn't tell if it was him or just more bandits. But either way, we both kind of scurry off. I run off into a small building and happen to run into another bandit. He catches me off guard, he kills me, and then my game crashes. This is where I gave up my first play time and jumped back into it a few days later. I picked right up on the same quest of finding the shaman. Nothing exciting really happened this time, just a straight shot to him to get another mission. And hey, what do you know, another waypoint to learn more about blessed stalkers. I've been kind of avoiding the main point of the missions up until now, but I think it's a good time to start covering why we are running around here. STALCRAFT doesn't seem to be set at any specific point of the main Stalker storyline. The main idea of STALCRAFT just seems to be complete the main quest storyline, loosely based on being blessed, and just have an open world based on the Stalker experience to explore, where bandits and stalkers are just other players. You guys might be surprised to hear this, but STALCRAFT is not canon to the Stalker lore. I know, I was absolutely shocked. Well, I'm not going to bore you anymore with the questline that I was on my way to complete, and just kind of talk about some ending thoughts about this game. All in all, I think it's a great concept. Mods like Anomaly will already have this kind of feel that you're playing with other players by messages popping up on the PDA and just kind of running into random encounters. With that being said though, there are some apparent drawbacks, which I really can't blame STALCRAFT specifically, it's just kind of in survival games as a whole. Whenever you have a specific safe zone and areas of interest for new players, more experienced players will always just tend to either guard it or sort of parade around it. Players with more knowledge of the game and better loot, basically giving new players almost no shot at the actual PvP experience. The game currently has a very positive rating on Steam, and at the time of recording this, over and around 3K players playing online. Personally, I don't know how much longevity a game like this has though. On one hand, you have the Stalker series at an all-time high with Stalker 2 coming out soon, but also at the same time with Stalker 2 coming out soon, you think real Stalker fans will just move on to that. Personally, it just isn't enough for me. It's definitely way better than other free-to-play Stalker inspired games, and if it's interesting to you, you will probably more than likely enjoy playing it. I've just never been a really big fan of like grindy MMO games, and that definitely has the feel. It's just 10 times over 10 I'm gonna choose something like Anomaly over this. But either way, let me know if you guys are playing this, let me know what you guys think about the game, if you guys enjoy it or not, if you guys just are sticking to Anomaly and stuff like that. Either way, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Seriously, check out Into the Zones channel, linked in the description. He makes some really good Stalker inspired stuff. If you have enough free time, the tabletop, in quotation marks, Stalker game he's been playing, I've been in and out of listening to. It's been a lot of fun. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.